Everyone was doing it. The challenge had gone viral in just 2 days. Hashtag Face the Reflection. That was the name. A silly TikTok trend, or so I thought. You just record yourself in a dark room, say the words, "Show me the truth," into the mirror, and wait 10 seconds. Then you post it with the hashtag. People were getting millions of views. Some screamed, some laughed, some claimed they saw shadows behind them. It looked fake. So I didn't believe it, but I was curious. And honestly, I just wanted more followers. So that night, I turned off the lights in my room, lit a single candle, set my phone to record. I stood in front of the mirror and laughed a little, feeling dumb. Then I whispered the words, "Show me the truth." 10 seconds. Silence. My own reflection stared back. Nothing happened. I rolled my eyes, turned the lights back on, and posted the video anyway. The title? Lame Ghost Trend. Nothing happened. Oh. But that's when things got weird. Within minutes, my post exploded. 100 views. Then 1,000. Then 10,000. I blinked at the screen. Notifications were flooding in. But it wasn't just the numbers that bothered me. It was the comments. Things like, "Did anyone else see her blink twice? She wasn't smiling in the mirror. Pause at 0:06. What is that?" I didn't understand. I watched my video again. Then I watched it frame by frame. And I saw it. At exactly 6 seconds, my reflection didn't match me. I smiled, just a little, while I didn't. And for half a second, it looked like something was standing behind me. That was the moment I knew this challenge wasn't just a trend. It was a trap. And I had just stepped right into it. I didn't sleep that night. Even though I told myself it was just a glitch or maybe a weird filter error, I kept replaying the video. Each time, my reflection looked stranger. Less like me. Almost like it was waiting for something. The comments wouldn't stop either. "You posted it. You can't stop it now. What did you bring back? Don't look into another mirror. Ever." I tried to brush it off. Maybe people were messing with me. Maybe it was a joke. But my room felt colder now. My phone kept buzzing even when I turned off notifications. I even turned it off completely, and it buzzed again. That was when I noticed something worse. The mirror. It had a fingerprint on it. I hadn't touched it since I recorded the challenge. I grabbed a cloth to clean it, but before I wiped it, I looked closer. The print wasn't from a finger. It was a full hand. 5 long, thin prints. But they weren't on the outside of the mirror. They were on the inside. I dropped the cloth and backed away. Then my phone lit up on its own. It wasn't unlocked, but the screen glowed, and a new video began playing. It was my video. The same one I uploaded. Only this time, it didn't stop at 10 seconds. The reflection, my reflection, started moving on its own. She reached out, pressed her hand against the glass, and whispered something I couldn't understand. And then she smiled, too wide. Then the screen glitched. But no apps. No home screen. Just static. That's when the knock came from my closet. 3 slow knocks. My heart almost stopped. I stared at the door. I hadn't opened that closet in days. It was just storage. No way anything was inside. But the knocks came again. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then, from behind the door, I heard a voice. So, like it came through a phone speaker. It said my name. Not screamed. Not whispered. Just come. As if whatever was inside already knew me. Already saw me. And already decided I was next. I didn't move. I couldn't. My name was still echoing in my ears. It wasn't just sound. It felt like someone had spoken directly into my head. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I slowly backed away from the closet door. One step at a time. Careful not to make a sound. The knocking had stopped, but I could still feel a presence. Like something was on the other side, waiting. My phone, still dead, suddenly flashed white again. A new message appeared on the screen. Level 2, contact made. Mirror unlocked. Level 2? What was this? I didn't sign up for levels. It was just a stupid internet challenge. Something fun. Something everyone was doing. I tried to delete the video again. Nothing happened. The app crashed the second I touched it. That's when I saw the new video on my feed. It was me. standing in front of the mirror again. Only this time, I wasn't recording. I was sleeping when it was posted, and I was wearing the same clothes I wore to bed. The reflection in the video wasn't mine either. She looked like me, but the eyes were wrong. Completely black. No white. Just endless darkness. And she whispered again. This time, I could understand her. She said, "You can't wake up if you never sleep." It made no sense, but I felt sick. Like the room was spinning. Suddenly, the lights in my room flickered, once, twice, and then everything went dark. Total silence. No street sounds. No hum of electricity. Just me, and whatever had crawled through that cursed post. Then my laptop turned on by itself. I didn't even remember plugging it in. On the screen was a live stream of me, sitting in the dark. My hands began to shake. I stood up to check the laptop, but the second I moved, the figure on the screen didn't move with me. It stayed seated, smiling, and then it looked straight at me through the screen. I slammed the laptop shut and ran out of the room. I didn't even take my shoes. I ran barefoot down the hallway of my apartment building, banging on my neighbor's door. They didn't answer. No one did. Every door was locked. Every window blacked out. And then I saw it. The hallway mirror, placed right at the end of the corridor. I don't remember anyone putting it there, but there it was. And my reflection wasn't mine anymore. I couldn't look away from the mirror. My reflection was smiling, but I wasn't. I was frozen, terrified. My heart beating so loud it felt like it would explode. But the thing in the mirror, it was calm. Its head tilted slowly, like it was studying me. Then it raised its hand. I didn't, but it did. It waved. I took a step back, and suddenly the mirror cracked. A long, sharp line ran from top to bottom. The smile on my reflection widened, like it enjoyed my fear. I turned and ran back to my apartment. I didn't care about the laptop. I didn't care about the phone. I just wanted to hide. But when I opened the door, the room had changed. The lights were off, but there were candles, dozens of them, lit around the room in a perfect circle. In the center was my phone, recording again. Without touching anything, I heard it playing back a voice recording. My own voice. But I never recorded it. It said, "Challenge accepted. Soul offered." I screamed. I tried to throw the phone, but it was stuck to the floor like it had melted into it. I couldn't move it. I couldn't turn it off. Then the door behind me slammed shut. I was trapped. The candles started flickering, one by one. A cold wind blew through the room, but all the windows were closed. Something was in there with me. And then I saw the shadow. It moved across the walls, tall, thin, almost like a person. But its arms were too long. Its head tilted in jerky, unnatural movements. Like it was broken. I grabbed my bedsheet and hid under it. I know, stupid. Like a child. But I couldn't think. I just wanted it all to stop. Under the sheet, I could still hear the whispering. Dozens of voices. All around me. Some crying. Some laughing. And then one voice got louder. It was mine. "Welcome to level 3. I didn't sleep that night. Even when the whispers faded, even when the candles went out on their own. I couldn't close my eyes. Not after hearing my own voice say, "Welcome to level 3. What did that mean? Was this a game? Or something else? I spent the night sitting in the corner of my room, with every light turned on. I didn't touch my phone. I didn't look at the laptop. I didn't want to go near anything that had a screen. But just before sunrise, the phone buzzed again. A notification. I didn't want to check it, but my body moved on its own. The screen showed another message. Level 3 begins at 6 hours 66 minutes a.m. Well, that time doesn't exist. 6 hours 66 minutes? I blinked, and the time on the screen changed too. Now. The room suddenly went dark. The lights flickered once, then everything shut off. My phone powered down. My fan stopped spinning. The hum of electricity, gone. And then, silence. Until I heard a knock at the front door. 3 soft knocks. Then nothing. I waited. Maybe it was a dream. Then I heard it again. 3 knocks. But this time, they were on my bedroom door. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I reached for something to hold. My water bottle, my charger, anything to defend myself. Then the door slowly creaked open. I held my breath. No one was there. Just darkness. Blacker than night. But in that blackness, I saw something move. Something small. A shadow crawling toward me. I ran. Out the door, into the hallway, down the stairs. I didn't even put on shoes. But every mirror I passed, I saw something behind me. Not just one reflection. Multiple. Smiling. Watching. They weren't me. I made it to the street and collapsed near a streetlight. Cars passed. People walked by. But no one looked at me. It was like I didn't exist. I pulled out my phone. It was back on. But it had no apps. Just one message across the screen. Level 4 unlocked. And that's when I knew. There was no stopping this now. It was playing by its own rules. And I had already lost. I didn't know where to go. I sat under that streetlight for hours, hoping morning would save me. But when the sun finally rose, everything still felt wrong. Birds chirped. People walked. But it all felt like I was stuck between two worlds. I tried calling my best friend, Zar. I needed to talk to someone real. She picked up. But it wasn't her voice. It was mine. So, broken. Whispering, "Why are you trying to run?" I ended the call instantly and threw the phone to the ground. But it didn't break. Instead, the screen flickered and showed a photo of me, taken just seconds ago, sitting under that streetlight. But I hadn't taken it. I looked around. No one was there. No camera. Nothing. Then a new image appeared. A blurry photo of someone standing behind me. Closer. Each time. I turned around, fast. No one. But then I saw it, carved into the pavement beside me. The same hashtag from the challenge. #dirty. I ran again. This time to the university lab where the original experiment was filmed. The one that started this whole challenge. I had to find answers. The building was closed, but I broke in through the side door. Everything was covered in dust. Empty. Like no one had used it for years. But that didn't make sense. The video I saw was uploaded only days ago. I walked deeper into the hall. A projector on the far wall clicked on by itself. The video began to play. A girl sat in a chair, strapped in, eyes wide open. I moved closer. That girl was me, wearing the same clothes I had on right now. Same bruises on my arm. Same tear on my jeans. But how? I watched the video in horror as I, or she, began to scream. She clawed at her eyes. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. And behind her, the shadows formed. Watching. Feeding. Suddenly, the lights in the lab exploded. The screen melted. A sharp pain pierced through my head. I fell to my knees, screaming in silence. Then a voice echoed through the room. A voice I'll never forget. Level 5 begins now. I woke up on a hospital bed. Wires on my arms. A monitor beeping slowly beside me. But I didn't remember getting here. A nurse walked in, holding a clipboard. She smiled, too wide, like she was forcing her face to stay calm. "I see you've made it to level 5, she said. That phrase again. I sat up quickly, my head still pounding. "What do you mean? Where am I? What's happening to me?" She tilted her head. "You posted the challenge. You joined the game. We're just helping you finish it." I yanked the wires off and stood up. I needed to get out. But as I reached the door, she whispered, "Be careful. Not everyone wakes up from this part." I ran into the hallway, but something was wrong. All the rooms looked the same. Door after door, labeled with usernames. Like social media handles. I passed one that said at Danny left too soon. Another at Sleepygirl 1999. Were these people challengers too? Then I heard screaming behind one of the doors. I froze. A woman's voice begging, "I didn't mean to click it. Please, please take it back." I backed away slowly. Suddenly the hallway lights flickered. One by one, doors began to open. Not by hand. On their own. A cold wind rushed through the hallway. And then I saw them, figures crawling out from inside the rooms. Thin, twisted, and silent. Their faces glitched, like corrupted videos. They were coming for me. I turned and ran, slipping on the polished floor, my heart beating so fast I thought I'd pass out. I pushed open a fire exit door and found myself in a stairwell that led nowhere. Just a wall. No steps. No exit. I turned around, and standing at the top of the stairwell was me, or something that looked like me. Its eyes were pitch black. No light. No soul. It spoke with my voice. "You wanted attention," it said. "Now the whole world is watching." The lights went out. Everything went black. And I screamed into the darkness. When the lights came back on, I was no longer alone in the stairwell. That shadowy version of me was gone, but something worse took its place. The walls around me seemed to breathe, like the building itself was alive and watching. I tried to call out, but my voice was weak, like I was underwater. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, hands shaking. A new message appeared on the screen. It was from an unknown number. It read, "You can't escape the challenge. Your followers are waiting." I opened my social media app. Thousands of new notifications. Comments flooding in. But they weren't normal. They were warnings. "Don't look behind you. It's closer than you think. They're coming." Suddenly, the stairwell door slammed shut. I was trapped. I tried pushing it open, but it wouldn't budge. Then, from the dark corner, I saw movement. Slow, crawling figures appeared again, their eyes glowing faintly. I backed into the wall. My phone screen cracked in my hands. The figures whispered my name. I closed my eyes tight. When I opened them, I was somewhere else. A huge room filled with mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of me. One smiling, one crying, one screaming silently, one slowly turning into darkness. I felt cold fingers brush my skin from behind. I spun around, but nothing was there. Then my phone lit up again. A new message. "Last chance. Accept your fate or lose yourself forever." I didn't know what to do. The room started to shake. The mirrors cracked one by one, and I realized this was no longer a game. It was a trap, and I was losing. The mirrors shattered around me with loud crashes. Pieces flew everywhere, cutting the air like tiny knives. The room darkened more and more, shadows twisting into strange shapes on the walls. I could barely see, but I felt eyes watching me from every broken shard. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. I held my phone tight, hoping for some kind of answer, but the screen was black. Like it had given up on me too. I started to run toward the only light left, a faint glow coming from a cracked door at the far end of the room. But the floor beneath me began to tremble, and I stumbled. The walls groaned, closing in slowly, like they wanted to trap me forever. Then I heard a voice. Whispering. But it wasn't mine. It was something else, something wrong. "Why did you share it? Why did you invite them in?" I froze. The voice seemed to come from inside my head. I screamed, but no sound came out. Panic took over. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my shoulder. Cold, like ice. I whipped around but saw nothing, just thick, heavy darkness. The shadows stretched, forming twisted faces with hollow eyes and cruel smiles. They moved closer, surrounding me. I fell to my knees, clutching my phone like it was my only lifeline. The screen flickered back on, showing a live video of myself, trapped, scared, fading. A new message blinked at the bottom. "You can never leave. Not now. Not ever." Tears streamed down my face. I wanted to run, but my legs didn't move. It was like the darkness was holding me tight. Suddenly, the door slammed open. A blinding light poured in, pushing back the shadows. I blinked and looked up. There was a woman standing there, a stranger with kind eyes and a calm voice. "Come with me," she said softly. "This isn't real. You're caught in a nightmare, but there's a way out." I didn't trust her, but I had no choice. I grabbed her hand. And as we stepped through the door, the darkness screamed behind us, angry and hungry. I didn't know if I was waking up or falling deeper. I followed the woman through a narrow hallway that twisted like a maze. The walls were cold and damp, and the faint sound of dripping water echoed around us. My heart still pounded like a drum, but her calm voice was the only thing holding me together. "Who are you?" I asked, voice shaking. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked straight ahead, eyes focused but gentle. "I'm someone who has been where you are," she said finally. "I know what's happening to you. The curse of the post isn't just a trick, it's real. It reaches into your mind, your soul." I swallowed hard. The memories of the shadows, the whispers, the eyes in the mirrors, they felt so real, too real. "Why me?" I whispered. "Why did I have to take part?" She stopped and turned to face me, her eyes soft but serious. "Because you shared it. The curse spreads with every view, every like, every share. But you also have the power to stop it." I shook my head. "How?" "I've tried everything. I can't escape. The messages, the figures, they won't leave me alone." She reached into her pocket and pulled out an old phone. "This was the original device," she said. "The camera that started it all. The one the serial sender used before you got that cursed post." I stared at it, feeling a strange chill. "What does this have to do with me?" "Everything," she said. "The post came from this phone. The only way to break the curse is to destroy it. But it's not that simple. The curse fights back. It traps your mind. If you try to destroy it without preparing, it will pull you deeper, maybe forever." I felt a cold wind rush past us. The walls trembled again. "Time is running out," she said. "The more you wait, the stronger it becomes." I looked at the phone again. The screen was cracked, but still faintly glowing. It felt alive, like it was watching me. Suddenly, a sharp pain exploded in my head. I dropped to my knees, clutching my temples. Voices filled my mind, angry, pleading, mocking. "You can't break free. You belong to us now. Give up." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "No," I whispered fiercely. "I won't give up." When I opened my eyes, the woman was gone. The hallway was silent, but the darkness felt thicker. I stood up, holding the cursed phone tightly. I knew what I had to do. The curse was real. The nightmare was real. But so was my fight to end it. The hallway seemed endless. Every step I took echoed loudly, but no matter how far I walked, I felt trapped inside a dark nightmare. The woman who had appeared was gone as suddenly as she came. The cold silence around me was heavy, almost crushing. In my hand, I still held that old phone, the one she said started everything. Its cracked screen pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat from another world. I didn't want to look at it, but I couldn't stop myself. It felt like the phone was alive, watching me, waiting for me to make a move. The woman told me, "The curse spreads with every share, every view, every like." And this phone was the key to breaking it. But if I destroyed it without preparing, the curse would trap me forever. I sank down against the cold wall, my head spinning. The shadows I'd seen, the voices that whispered to me every night, they weren't just in my mind. They were real, and they were getting stronger. Suddenly, the air grew icy. I could hear faint whispers, soft and cruel. The walls seemed to breathe, closing in around me. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I forced myself to stand. There was no turning back. If I waited any longer, the curse would swallow me whole. I remembered the woman's words, "You have the power to stop it." But how? I looked around and noticed a small door at the end of the hallway. It hadn't been there before, or maybe I just hadn't seen it. The door was old and worn, with strange symbols carved into the wood. With shaking hands, I pushed it open. Inside was a room filled with old photographs pinned to the walls. Each photo showed someone, smiling, unaware, until I saw it. In every picture, behind the person, there was a shadowy figure, just like the ones I'd seen in my nightmares. My heart froze. On a table in the center of the room lay a journal. I opened it carefully. The pages were filled with strange writings and drawings, descriptions of the curse, how it began, and warnings. One page caught my eye. To break the curse, the source must be destroyed. But first, the victim must face their deepest fear. I closed the journal with a slam. My deepest fear. The shadows. The voices. The feeling of being hunted. I didn't want to face them, but I had no choice. Suddenly, the room grew colder. The shadows in the photos started to move, reaching out toward me. I backed away, but the door slammed shut behind me. I was trapped. The whispers turned into voices, loud and angry. You can't escape. You belong to us. I gripped the cursed phone tighter, feeling its cold pulse. I won't let you win, I whispered, trying to stay brave. The shadows crept closer, but I remembered the woman's warning. I had to prepare. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I thought about everything I loved. My family, my friends, the life outside this nightmare. With all my strength, I opened my eyes and shouted, I am not afraid. The shadows froze for a moment, then recoiled as if my words burned them. A sudden bright light exploded from the phone in my hand, filling the room with a blinding glow. When the light faded, the shadows were gone. The door creaked open slowly. I stepped out, feeling the cold air return to normal. I was free, for now. But I knew this was only the beginning. The curse was powerful. It would try again. And I had to be ready. Even though I escaped that dark room, I could still feel the curse breathing down my neck. The cold air outside didn't feel like freedom. It felt like a trap. I clutched the cursed phone tightly, its faint glow pulsing like a warning heartbeat. It was almost alive, almost like it was calling to me, telling me to keep it close, or else. I knew I couldn't trust anyone. The curse didn't just hunt me, it hunted anyone connected to that phone, that post, that challenge. My friends had started to disappear one by one, just like the woman said. And now I was alone, trapped in a nightmare where every click, every notification, could mean death. I sat down on the cracked pavement outside the old building, the moon barely lighting the empty streets. My phone buzzed suddenly, breaking the silence. I froze. I didn't want to look, but my curiosity was stronger than my fear. The screen showed a new message. We see you. You can't run. I dropped the phone. It clattered loudly against the stones, but the screen stayed on, showing a shadowy figure standing behind me. I whipped around, no one there. Just the cold wind and the eerie silence. My heart pounded like a drum. How was this possible? Was the phone really showing things from another world? Or was my mind breaking under the weight of the curse? I forced myself to stand and move away from that place. I needed answers. I had to know how this curse started. If I was going to fight it, I had to learn everything. I went to the local library, the only place I could think of that might have old records or newspapers about strange happenings. The librarian was suspicious but let me search the archives late into the night. Hours passed as I flipped through yellowed pages. Then I found it, a story about a small town where the same cursed phone had first appeared. People talked about a mysterious person who died after making a strange video, a video that vanished from the internet but spread like wildfire before disappearing. The more I read, the more I realized this curse wasn't new. It had been passed down, waiting for someone to spread it again. That someone was me. A sudden chill ran down my spine. The curse wasn't just on the phone. It was in the post, the challenge, and now in me. If I didn't stop it, it would never end. It would spread forever, dragging more people into darkness, I closed the book, my hands trembling. What could I do? How do you fight something that's everywhere, in every screen, every message? My phone buzzed again. This time, the message was different. You have 1 hour. Then it begins. I had no idea what would happen next, but I knew one thing for sure. I had to be ready. Because once the hour was up, there would be no turning back. The curse was coming for me. I looked at the glowing screen with shaking hands. 1 hour. That was all the time I had before whatever curse this was would begin. My mind raced with questions, but no answers came. The phone felt heavier now, like it was a stone pulling me down into something I couldn't escape. I needed to get somewhere safe. But what was safe anymore? My house? Oh. The curse could follow me there. The streets? Too open. The library? At least there were people around, but I didn't want to drag anyone else into this nightmare. I decided to go back to the old town I read about in the archives, the place where the curse started. Maybe there I could find the truth, or someone who knew how to stop it. I packed my bag quickly, throwing in water, some food, and, of course, the cursed phone. It felt like carrying a bomb, ready to explode. As I stepped outside, the night was darker than usual. The wind whispered through the trees, and the rain began to fall, soft at first, then harder, as if the sky was crying for what was about to come. On the road, my phone buzzed again. Another message, "You are running out of time." I tried to ignore it, but every buzz sent a shiver down my spine. The cursed post was no longer just a story. It was real. It was here. It was alive. Driving through empty streets, I thought about my friends, those who had joined the challenge and vanished. What had they seen? What had they felt? I wished I had asked them more questions when I had the chance. Suddenly, the car radio crackled with static, then a chilling voice whispered, "You cannot escape what you started." My heart jumped. I slammed the brakes and turned off the radio, but the voice didn't stop. It echoed inside my head, a cruel reminder that the curse had already taken root. I reached the small town just before midnight. It was quiet, almost too quiet, the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. Walking the empty streets, I felt eyes watching me. Shadows moved at the edges of my vision. I stopped at the old house where the first curse video was made. It looked abandoned, but the door was slightly open, inviting me in. Taking a deep breath, I stepped inside. The air was cold and heavy, thick with the weight of secrets and fear. Walls were covered with old photos and newspaper clippings about the curse, people who disappeared, and strange symbols I didn't understand. In the corner of the room, I saw an old camera, the same model as mine. My hands trembled as I reached for it. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. The cursed phone in my pocket buzzed violently. A voice filled the room, low and terrifying. "You brought the curse here. Now you must face it." My breath caught in my throat. I was trapped. The curse was no longer just messages on a screen. It was here in this room with me. I knew one thing. If I wanted to survive, I had to find the truth behind the curse before the hour ran out. But the deeper I went, the darker it became. And somewhere, hidden in the shadows, the curse was waiting, ready to finish what it started. The door slammed shut with a deafening bang that echoed through the room. I spun around, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. The air inside was freezing cold, and my breath came out in shaky clouds. I fumbled for my phone, the cursed phone, but it slipped from my fingers and clattered onto the wooden floor. The screen lit up again, but this time it wasn't a message. It was a video. The video showed the inside of this very room, empty, dark, silent, except for one thing. A shadow moving slowly across the floor. I stared, frozen, as the shadow grew bigger, twisting into shapes that looked like hands reaching for me. Then the screen went black. A voice whispered in my ear, barely louder than the wind, "You cannot run from what you have started." I turned sharply but saw no one. The walls seemed to close in, the room shrinking with every second. My legs trembled, but I forced myself to take a step forward. The old camera on the table caught my eye. Its lens glinted in the dim light like an evil eye watching my every move. I reached out, and as my fingers brushed the cold metal, the lights flickered. Suddenly, the room was bathed in an eerie red glow. The shadows on the walls began to twist and writhe, forming faces of people I had seen in the cursed post comments. Their eyes were hollow, their mouths open in silent screams. Panic rose like a wave. I dropped the camera and backed away, but the door was locked tight. No matter how hard I pushed or pulled, it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. My phone buzzed again, vibrating violently in my pocket. I pulled it out, hands shaking, and saw a new message. Time is almost up. I looked around desperately for a way out, but the room offered no escape, only endless darkness and those haunting faces pressed against the walls. Suddenly, a cold hand grabbed my shoulder. I screamed and spun around, but no one was there. The temperature dropped further, frost forming on the windows. I could hear whispers all around me, voices overlapping, calling my name, begging for help, or warning me to leave. With trembling fingers, I opened the cursed video app on my phone. The screen showed me standing in the room, but behind me was a figure, tall, dark, and impossible to look at directly. The figure's eyes glowed red, and it raised a hand, pointing right at me. My heart shattered. I was not alone. I was being watched by something that wanted to claim me. I knew I had to act fast. If I didn't find the secret to break this curse, I would be trapped forever. Another shadow on the walls, another victim of the cursed social media post. With no other choice, I grabbed the old camera again, hoping it held the key to my escape. As I aimed its lens at the darkest corner of the room, the figure let out a chilling laugh that shook the walls. The lens captured a flash of light, and suddenly everything went black. When the room went black, my whole body froze. It felt like time stopped. I couldn't hear anything, not even my own breathing. Then, slowly, a faint light began to glow from the camera's lens in my hand. The red glow from before vanished, replaced by a cold, blue light that felt both comforting and terrifying. I blinked and realized I wasn't alone anymore. Shapes began to form out of the darkness, twisted, ghostly figures circling me slowly. Their faces were blank, but their eyes burned with a strange, hungry light. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My voice was trapped inside me, just like I was trapped in this nightmare. One figure stepped closer. It reached out with long, thin fingers that looked like black smoke. I tried to move away, but my feet felt glued to the floor. The closer it came, the colder the air became. My skin crawled, and every hair on my body stood up. Suddenly, the camera in my hand began to shake violently. The lens spun like a storm, and a deep voice echoed inside my mind. The curse is broken only when the truth is revealed. I didn't understand what that meant, but I knew I had to find out. I focused all my energy on the camera and aimed it at the largest shadow looming in the corner. The flash went off, brighter than any light I had ever seen. For a moment, everything was silent again. Then, images flooded my mind, memories that were not mine. I saw flashes of the viral challenge being created. I saw the original poster, smiling as the curse began. I saw people laughing as they joined the challenge, unaware of what was to come. And finally, I saw the moment the supernatural force was unleashed, a dark figure trapped inside the app, desperate to escape. I gasped for air, as if I had been underwater. The room started to shift, the shadows retreating like waves pulled back by the tide. The ghostly faces faded, replaced by cold, empty walls. But the door still didn't open. I realized the curse wasn't just about fear or ghosts. It was about secrets hidden in that post and the people who made it viral. I had to dig deeper to find the truth behind the curse before it was too late. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. A new message appeared on the screen. Find the first one who dared to post. Only then will you be free. My hands trembled as I typed the name into the search bar. The username was familiar, a friend I once trusted. A chill ran down my spine. I was closer to the truth, but also closer to the darkness. I stared at the screen, the username glowing like a warning. It was someone I never expected, my closest friend, the one who had first shared the challenge. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break through my chest. How could they be part of this? Why didn't they tell me? I decided to call them. My fingers shook as I dialed the number. It rang once, twice. Then a voice answered, but it wasn't my friend's. It was cold, distant, and almost empty. You shouldn't have come this far, the voice whispered. Some secrets are better left buried. Before I could say anything, the call ended. My phone screen went black. Panic rushed through me. I was trapped in this nightmare, caught between what I wanted to know and what I feared. Suddenly, the room grew ice cold. The shadows I had seen before returned, but this time they whispered my name. I could feel their breath on my skin, cold as the grave. My camera slipped from my hands and shattered on the floor, but the blue glow from its lens stayed alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. I realized then that the curse wasn't just in the post. It was inside me now. It followed me like a shadow, a dark part of my soul that wouldn't let go. I could run, hide, even try to delete every trace online, but the curse was deeper than that. It was real. I heard footsteps behind me, slow and deliberate. I turned to see my friend standing there, eyes empty and black as night. Their smile was cold, twisted. "You brought this on yourself," they said softly. "Now you belong to it forever." Tears blurred my vision as I backed away, but the room had no door, no windows, only darkness closing in. In that moment, I understood the challenge was never about likes or followers. It was about control, about fear, about something older and darker than the internet itself. And now I was part of it. As the shadows reached out to pull me in, I whispered one last desperate plea. If anyone finds this, don't join the challenge. Don't make the mistake I did. And then everything went black.